I arrive at Batumi Shota, Rustaveli State University, Batumi, with my suitcase full of designer clothes and my heart full of lofty expectation. I have been told that a name from the old Soviet era can be a badge of honor, but the moment I step onto the cracked courtyard, I feel a shiver of disappointment that is deeper than the cold sea wind. The first lecture I attend is supposed to be an introduction to medicine. The professor stands at the podium, his voice a low murmur in Georgian, and no English words ever escape his lips. I sit there straining to understand, my notebook remaining blank because I cannot translate the sound into meaning. This is bad because a student who cannot hear the lesson cannot learn the lesson. When learning is impossible, the whole purpose of paying a hefty tuition is destroyed. I pay a large sum of money and receive nothing but an incomprehensible monologue, and that is a betrayal of trust. I later discover that this language barrier is not an isolated incident. Every professor I meet seems to have mastered the art of speaking only to themselves. The lectures feel like a private conversation that excludes every international student. This exclusion creates a feeling of isolation. It makes students feel invisible, and it discourages them from asking questions. When students do not ask questions, they fall behind, their grades drop, and their confidence crumbles. The university therefore fails at its most basic duty to educate. In a quiet hallway, I hear a rumor about grades being bought and sold like market vegetables. A senior student whispers that a small cash offering will guarantee a perfect mark, regardless of effort. This corruption is terrible because it destroys merit. It turns education into a marketplace, and it reduces honest students to victims of an unfair system. When grades are bought, the value of a diploma evaporates, future employers lose faith, and the entire reputation of the institution collapses. The building itself is a relic of Soviet architecture, with peeling paint, rusted metal doors, and fluorescent lights that flicker like dying fireflies. The classrooms are cramped, the chairs are hard and splintered, and the windows are so dirty that daylight barely reaches the desks. This environment is problematic because a dirty, uncomfortable space lowers concentration. It hurts physical health, and it signals that the university does not care about student well-being. A student who sits on a broken chair feels a constant ache in the back, and that ache distracts from learning. I try to find the administration office for help. The receptionist looks weary, her desk cluttered with unpaid bills and unanswered letters. I ask for assistance with finding affordable housing, because the city of Batumi is expensive for a student without a family fortune. She shrugs, offers no guidance, and points me to a brochure that is outdated. The lack of support for housing is a serious problem, because without safe, affordable accommodation, a student cannot study properly. Stress about where to sleep leads to sleepless nights, which in turn cause poor academic performance and mental fatigue. I also notice that security patrols are scarce. Late at night, the campus feels empty, and the dim lanterns flicker ominously. I once walked alone after a study group and felt a cold knot of fear in my stomach. When a campus does not feel safe, students experience anxiety, they avoid studying after dark, and their overall sense of belonging fades. Safety is a fundamental right. Its absence is a violation of that right. The university promises internship opportunities, yet none materialize. I submit a request to the career center, receive a generic email that never mentions a single contact, and later learn that the promised companies were never actually partnered with the school. This broken promise is harmful because internships provide practical experience. They are a bridge to employment, and without them graduates remain unemployed and disillusioned. The false advertising therefore damages the future of every hopeful graduate. I hear repeated pleas from other students on social media, asking for phone numbers of fellow scholars, hoping to find a hidden ally. Their desperation shows that the community is fragmented, that no network exists, and that isolation is the norm. When students cannot connect, they lose the support that could help them survive the hardships of a bad institution. This loneliness deepens the wound of every failure. I also encounter the recurring question about Indian medical students and safety. Someone asks if any Indian has studied here and whether it is safe. The silence that follows is a clear answer. The environment is not welcoming to foreigners, and the fear of being unsafe is palpable. This is problematic because a university that does not attract or retain international talent is closing its doors to cultural exchange, academic diversity, and global reputation. Every review I read repeats the word bad in Georgian, a simple yet powerful condemnation. The word alone carries the weight of countless disappointments.
I am looking into crimes near Batumi, Shota, Rustaveli State University, and I feel sad to tell you what I found. Businesses near Batumi, Shota, Rustaveli State University are often small cafes, souvenir shops, and local restaurants that count on tourists who stay for only a short visit. They sometimes hide dishonest practices behind friendly smiles. The first place I heard about is Seaview Restaurant Club. The staff there apparently changed the numbers on the receipt after tourists paid, charging extra for drinks that were never ordered and keeping the cash without giving proper paperwork. A visitor told me that she thought the bill was correct at first, but when she checked the receipt later, she saw a higher total. She probably confronted the waiter, felt embarrassed, and left the restaurant angry. Most likely, she reported the incident to the police or wrote a review online, which might have forced the restaurant to apologize or to close that part of the business. The employees who did the fraud could have been suspended or even fired, and the owners might face a fine for consumer fraud. The tourist probably lost some money and trusted local eateries less after that experience. Another example is a souvenir shop on the main street near the university. Customers said the shop displayed low price tags on handmade items, but at the checkout, the clerk switched the tags to higher prices and claimed the original price was a mistake. A young couple who bought a painted plate reported that they felt tricked and left the shop with a heavy feeling in their stomach. They likely asked for a refund, and the shop either gave a partial return or refused, leading the couple to write a warning on travel forums. The shop owner might have been warned by local authorities and could have reduced the practice to avoid further complaints. The tourists probably spent less time shopping and felt uneasy about returning to the area. These stories show that some brick and mortar places near Batumi, Shota, Rustaveli State University hide dishonest tricks, and the victims often try to get their money back, while the scammers may face legal or reputational consequences. The businesses near Batumi, Shota, Rustaveli State University are a mixed bag of disappointment, overpriced mediocrity, and outright scams. If you are expecting quality, fairness, or even basic hospitality, you will be sorely mistaken. The area is plagued by establishments that seem to operate on a philosophy of squeezing every last lari out of tourists while delivering the bare minimum, if that. Let us start with the shopping experience. The malls near the university are nothing more than glorified storage rooms masquerading as retail spaces. Batumi Mall, for example, is a ghost town masquerading as a shopping center. The shops are either closed, selling counterfeit goods at premium prices, or staffed by employees who act as if helping you is a personal insult. The layout is confusing, the parking is a nightmare, and the entire place has the energy of a Soviet-era warehouse. One visitor described it as too small to be called a mall, with clothing prices that would make even an outlet store blush. Another warned that the customer service is so hostile. They demand you speak Georgian foreign languages, are apparently an offense, punishable by scowls. Now let us talk about dining, or rather, the tragic performance that passes for it. Lumi, a restaurant that should be a gem given its location, is instead a masterclass in how to ruin an evening. The food ranges from aggressively mediocre to outright dangerous. One couple reported being poisoned after eating salmon tartar, only to be met with indifference from staff who blamed their illness on unrelated factors, like drinking cappuccino with fish, as if that somehow explained violent vomiting at 5 a.m. Other guests were turned away from the bar for no logical reason, their money swiftly taken elsewhere. Even the desserts are an insult, dry, overcooked fondant that resembles a chocolate brick, rather than the indulgent treat it was supposed to be. Bars in the area are no better. Meow Bar is notorious for watered-down drinks and hostile owners who seem to actively despise their customers. One patron ordered a gin and tonic only to realize there was no gin in it, just tonic and crushed dreams. Another was served a whiskey so foul it could strip paint. And do not expect peace if you live nearby. Reports of drunken patrons screaming into the night suggest the bar operates under the philosophy that noise complaints are just free advertising. Then there is Bloom Concept Store, where counterfeit goods are sold at prices that would make a luxury boutique blush. The audacity is almost impressive, charging premium prices